I'm really excited to introduce to you erinJones. Erin is somebody that I've known for a long time, but I've known her from a different capacity. Sure, she's the director of AVID, which is the Advancement via Individual Determination for Tacoma Public Schools. She's done that. She's got lots of awards, ranging from the Washington State Milk and Educator of the Year Award in 2008. That's kind of a big deal. And she in 2013 she got the Champion of Change Award, and that's also a big deal. She's got lots of big deal awards. But I know Erin as a friend, and I know Erin as a mother, and I know Erin as a teacher. And so inviting Erin to come back and share was again just something that we couldn't pass up on the opportunity to do. Erin is a woman that has a heart for education, and she has a heart for the community. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome erinJones to come up and share with us this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, we're good. Okay. Now I'm hoping to not move. I'm a mover. And they have already warned me 3 times to not step backwards, so I'm going to try to stay still. And that is really unnatural for me. Good morning. It is so exciting to be here. Some of you may remember me from years ago. I had straight hair then. I have since decided to just wear it how it grows out of my head. So people ask me all the time, how do you do it like that? I just wake up in the morning. That's how I do it like this. I just decided at 40 to just embrace. This is just how it grows. But anyway, so you may not recognize me. And a story about that, one of the things that I am a teacher, I'm a mother, I'm a public speaker. I get to speak to young people across our country. I've probably spoken to 10,000 kids this year. And I tell kids, you need to own your own beauty, girls and boys. Quit trying to let the media tell you what beautiful is. And so this, for me, is a choice. It's not a political statement. I'm not Angela Davis. It is a choice to say to young people, just embrace who you are. I'm 6 feet tall and I wear 3-inch heels every day, and I have big hair. It's just me. This is who I am, and I just own that. But that's not what I came here to talk to you about today. I love young people, and I love education, and I love community. And being the mom of 3 kids, my kids now are 18, 19, and 20. I have a hard time admitting that. I'm 43. For those of you who thought I was in my 20s, because I can see some of you doing the math now. I'm 43. I was out of college and married before I started having kids, but when I took my kids to college, 2 of them started college this year. We were on campus at both of their campuses, and people said, "What dorm are you in?" I'm like, I'm the mom. And then my kids just announced to everyone, and she's 43. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. But I love young people, and I've walked through this thing both as an educator. This is my 23rd year in education, and as a mother. And what I love about today, what this represents, is the reality that it does take many people to raise kids. My kids are not successful just because of my husband and I, or just because of my parents and my husband and I. My kids are successful because they've had an entire community wrap themselves around my children. And I see some of those community members here. I don't live in Lakewood, but I've been connected to Felix Brayfith and to Dan and to Michael Tooncap, who's been a great friend of our families as well. And I see many educators here who've been involved in our lives. And I think about the success of my children is really based on many people committing to the excellence of my children and to the growth. And that's what today represents. Every single young person needs to have 2 or 3 people who really dare to believe that they can be amazing. And that's what I have devoted my life to as an educator, is not just my children. It's funny, when I would come home after school or after doing a speaking engagement, I would talk about my kids, and my personal children would say, "Mom, are you talking about us, or are you talking about those kids? Because you talk about your kids, and we're not really sure who you're talking about." And that's the reality for us. My children understand that our house, the Jones house, is bigger than the 5 of us. My kids understand that, and so we have a white son, and we have a really dark-skinned black girl who's our daughter, and this is just how we have lived our lives. And there are three kids that I've run into this week, in the last 2 days actually, who were my students in my very first year of teaching. I started teaching actually in Philadelphia many years ago, but my first year here in Washington State was 17 years ago. And I substitute taught at a middle school in Tacoma that was falling apart. And the teacher had a baby, and she needed someone to take over for her for 9 weeks. And I did, and it was my very first teaching job here in the area. And I was terrified, and because she had complications with her pregnancy, she didn't leave any lesson plans. And so here I am, my first opportunity. And I remember telling myself as I walked into that classroom, my number one job is to love these kids. That's my number one job. And so I did. I loved those kids, and I learned the curriculum. That part came. But I loved those kids, and I left after 9 weeks. I left and went to teach somewhere else, and lost touch with a lot of them. But this week I've seen all three of them. One of them actually lives in a house on the backside of Tacoma School District offices. And I was getting into my car 2 days ago, and I hear this voice, Mrs. Jones! Mrs. Jones! And I'm turning around like, where is that voice coming from? And she was getting out of her truck, and she's now 25 years old. And she was a knucklehead. This girl called me every bad name that you could imagine. She was 13, and she was angry. Her father had abandoned their family. Her mother was an alcoholic, and she was literally gambling away all of their welfare checks. And this girl, I remember the very first day I asked her to stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, and she called me a very naughty word, right to my face. And she said, "We've had 11 substitute teachers before you. There will be 11 after you." And she sat down. And I was like, I'm very scared right now. What have I gotten into? And that girl stole my purse the second week of school and took everything out of it. But about 2 months into my work with her, she started calling me mom. She was hurting, and because she was hurting other people. She didn't know how to not hurt people. But when she realized I was not going anywhere, part of that was because I needed the money, so I had to figure out how to stay. I wasn't going anywhere. She began to love me. And this girl, I had this particular class for 6 months, and she yesterday posted something on my Facebook after she saw me, and she said, "Miss Jones, I've always loved you, and thank you for you and the other teachers who loved me." There was another young man in that class named Jordan, and he also was knucklehead. I have a propensity to love knucklehead kids. And he every day would come in without his homework, and I would tell him, "Jordan, you're the smartest kid in this class. Jordan, please do your work. I think you should be in highly capable. I think you should be taking honors classes." "No, Miss Jones, I am not smart. I'm not smart. No." And then when I was done teaching his class as a substitute teacher, I became his basketball coach. I was the only female basketball coach in Tacoma Public Schools. We won every game except for the last one, which we lost by 1 point. I still remember that. That was 15 years ago. Still hurts. But this young man, I lost touch with after I left that school. And I moved to another school, and then another school, and then I moved to Spokane to follow the Act 6 students. How many of you are familiar with Act 6? If you are not, you need to know about it. It is one of the best scholarships in the country. And so I moved to Spokane to follow my students to Whitworth University. And I get a call the first week of college from this young man that I hadn't seen since he was 12 years old. And he said, "Miss Jones, this is Jordan. I just want you to know that I'm at Whitworth University." And I said, "So am I. I got the Act 6 scholarship. And you know what I'm going to study? I'm going to study English and French like you did, and I'm going to become a teacher just like you." He came and saw me this Friday, and he said, "Miss Jones, I followed you to Federal Way, and now you're back in Tacoma, and I want to come home. Can you find me a job at the school where we first met, at Baker Middle School?" And so here I am sitting crying in my office with this young man who was such a knucklehead at 12, but just needed somebody to believe in him so he could believe in himself. These are the stories of our young people. One of the things that I believe for adults in this country, in this world, is our number one job is not to teach them how to do math. It's not to teach them how to balance their checkbook. Our number one job as adults is to be the mirror that reflects their beauty and their giftedness. I believe every single child is gifted and talented. Every single child. Their giftedness looks different. Their talent looks different. But if we could just reflect that majesty, kids are able to come up out of the most atrocious situations. There's a little girl that I'm mentoring now who's a first-year student at UW. She spent her entire high school career living on the ground outside of Mount Tacoma High School. Her mother disappeared. She was a drug addict, and her father, she didn't know where her father was, and so she went to live with her mother's ex-boyfriend because it was the only person she knew, and he kicked her out of the house, and so she began to sleep on the ground outside of Mount Tacoma High School. She ended up getting the Gates Millennium Scholarship. Sitting on that ground, homeless, she would do her work. 3.8 GPA, she graduated from high school and went on to the University of Washington. And one day she happened to be at a speech that I was giving, and she came up to me afterwards. She walked right up to me and she said, you're my mentor. Bye. And just walked away. And she and I have been in that mentoring relationship whether I like it or not. And it's just so beautiful to watch this young woman blossom and grow. And that's the potential that each one of you have. You don't have to have title of teacher or mom or principal. You don't have to be in charge of anything but your own self to make a difference in the life of a young person. I want to close by reading a poem that I read to every single student that I work with. This is who I believe we were all created to be, not just our young people, but every one of you in this room. And it's kind of the impression that I want to leave for, especially for our young people who feel like they're broken, because I believe no one is broken. Well, we're all broken, but we're all fixable. I guess that's the most important thing. I tell young people when they say I can't, I tell them add a yet to that. I can't yet. It changes everything. I can't yet. I'm not good at math. You're not good at math yet, but you will be. How do we begin to change that mentality for our young people to believe that they can do anything they put their minds to? And so this is a poem that I always read in every speech that I give to young people. I always finish with this and share with young people, this is my heartbeat for you. And this poem was written by a woman named Marianne Williamson. It was made famous actually by Nelson Mandela when he read it at his inauguration. And I love that he read this at an inauguration because it speaks to what I truly believe a politician's responsibility is, to uplift his people. And that was his goal, was to uplift his people. And he says this, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. You are brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. Share that with a young person today. And if we all come together and do our part, if we are each our best selves in whatever arena we live in, we can make this nation the great nation it deserves to be. Thank you.